Great at 8, infinity and beyond. We are great because of the Toastmasters learning system. We are great because of the support and commitment that we have for each other. Sincerest thanks to our dear International President DTM Margaret Page for gracing this event and for such an inspiring speech. Thank you for your 3 to 1 tips. You made our anniversary meaningful with your presence, and it will add on to our page of history. Thank you also to our dear guests for today, and especially to our district trio for your continued support. Our gratitude to all officers and members of DCTMC who made this event possible. The Marinas City's Toastmaster Club will continue to soar high. Congratulations to all, and let's go beyond infinity. Mabuhay!
Handled this so far brilliantly. Well, good morning, District Trio, District leaders, and members of DCTMC Toastmasters. Congratulations on your 8th year anniversary. Anniversaries are always this amazing time where we get to look back and honor our past, treasure our present, and begin to shape the future, to begin to reflect on what kind of a club we want to be in the future. But of course, first we have to do is honor the past and where we came from, and you have done that absolutely so brilliantly. I'd like to ask everyone here today to put in the chat either Y for yes or N for no. If you were invited to speak to an audience of 1,700 people on site, if you would say yes, put Y in the chat, and if you would say no, put no. Wow, we can see that a lot of members of DCTMC are tremendous, have a lot of courage and commitment already in their willingness to. In 2001, I received a call from an association. I was living in Las Vegas, Nevada at the time, and I received this call asking me to share my business success with an audience of 1,700. I could not even begin to imagine how I could do that. I could no more speak to an audience that size, that I could grow horns, sprout wings, or leap over tall buildings. It was completely beyond my comprehension. So I immediately said no and put it out of my consciousness, out of my awareness. It was just nothing that I was capable of doing. However, several months later, when I was at that event, and like all banquets, we had the round tables with the white tablecloths, and there I was sitting with the managers of my store, and it came to the dinner portion of the meeting where they were to have keynote addresses. Well, at the end of the program, they called up the persons whose stores were second to my stores being number 1 in the Southwest region, which is the Southwest of the United States. And the person was up on stage sharing the success of his team, his managers, all those that worked for him. And my managers looked up at him, they looked at me, they looked at him, and their eyebrows shot up, wondering, why are you not up there sharing our success story. All I could do was rub the stain on the white tablecloth. I was so embarrassed, so humiliated that I was their leader, their boss, and I was incapable of sharing their success with those that were in that room that day. Those people that had worked so hard for me, committed and given, and yet I was unable to share their story. It took me 2 years before I was still able to trip into my first Toastmasters meeting. I found myself there, thankfully, and I have had the opportunities to learn and grow with my fellow members, and that has made all the difference in the world. Now I have the opportunity to share my district's success with those around the world and what I learned during that particular time. But when I joined my Toastmasters meeting, I didn't speak for 3 months. Yes, I spoke before the meeting. I shook hands with people in the meeting. Of course, that was pre-pandemic. I shook hands and I sat there in the room and I listened. And every time a table topics question came up and it was offered to me, I would say, not this week, not this week. I had joined in October, and my New Year's resolution that year was to answer a table topics no matter what. That was my goal. That was my goal that year. So the first meeting after New Year's Day came, and the table topics question was posed and asked to me. I marched up to the front of the room, and the question was posed. Why is New Year's on January 1st? I didn't have a clue why New Year's was January 1st, but I addressed the audience. I repeated the question as I had heard in the months before, and I mumbled some sort of explanation for 15, 20 seconds. And sat down. But I felt that I had made success. I had gotten up in front of the room. That was massive success for me. So you can imagine when I see our MC today after 4 months leading this meeting, what an amazing feat that is. 18 months into my Toastmasters journey, I received a call from the club president. And the club president said, there's a debate happening at the senior center on the long weekend in May. However, all the club officers will be out of town that particular weekend, or we have company coming for the weekend. Would you be willing, Margaret, to go to the senior center and lead this debate, political debate? Now, I have to confess, when politics was concerned, my eyes would glaze over. That was not anything I was interested in, although I was a business owner. It was just something that I had compartmentalized off and was not that interested in. But I felt that I owed the club president and I owed the members of the club for something. And my mother-in-law was in the old folks' home. And really, after 1 o'clock, most of them are having a nap, and there's only a few in the community use room. So my mouth said, yes, I can. But my brain said, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Well, about 6 weeks later, the debate arose, and it was I headed off to the senior center as a good Toastmaster would in plenty of time so that I could be there, set up the room, make sure that everyone was seated, greet everyone, do all the things that we do in our Toastmasters Club. Well, I pulled up in front of the senior center, and there was a mobile TV unit parked outside. I thought someone must have been very important who died here today, because this funeral is being televised. Who could have passed away here? Well, I came in the room and came to the first person that I came to, and I said, "Where is the debate happening for the election?" And the woman said, "Here in this room." They were setting up for 300 people. It was not a funeral that had happened, that the TV unit was there. The TV unit was there to broadcast the debate. And here I was, a Toastmaster of a mere 18 months, and not at all from DCTMC Club, or I would have had no problems, because it would have been great. But I was from a small little club on the Sunshine Coast in Canada. And so I panicked. I wanted to fall down and faint. I wanted to go to the hospital. I wanted to be anywhere but in that room at that moment. And if I could have figured out a way that I wouldn't have embarrassed my Toastmaster colleagues, my beloved club members, I would have found that way out. But we were an island, maybe like some clubs in the Philippines. So we were this little separated only by a ferry. I couldn't call in a helpline from Vancouver area for a Toastmaster to help me. So I had no other way, but I was thrown in the deep end. Well, this little granny came up to me. She looked exactly like Santa Claus's wife, had a little bun at the back, little granny glasses, and she hands me 2 pieces of paper, and she said, "This is the question I'm going to ask the candidates." Well, I have been doing enough speeches in 18 months to know that a page and a half is not a question for a table topics question, but it's a 5 to 7 minute speech. So I quickly did the math in my head. There are going to be 7 candidates. If they have opening remarks, if they have closing remarks, we have 90 minutes. And I said to the granny, I said, "Ma'am, you have 30 seconds to state your name, where you're from, and your question. And if you're longer than that, I'm going to begin the clapping, and you won't be able to finish." The poor woman. But everyone behaved so beautifully at the event, and it was broadcast all over the province. Luckily, they don't give a darn about the moderator for the debate. All they care about is the politicians who are trying to poke each other and say why they are the best one, and they didn't give a darn about me. I made it through that event only because of the support and learning that I had throughout my club in the 18 months that preceded that. Learning that I hadn't even really realized until I was thrown in the deep end and just took forms or took action based on what we do in the club each and every week. And perhaps some of you have also discovered that as well. The strengths and the attributes that you learn in your Toastmasters meeting may not even be evident to you till years from now or months from now, when you incorporate it into your life in some way and you can honor where you currently are with your growth at this particular time. Now, I am going to be in the with all things good. If the world is safe and good, I hope to be in the Philippines in, I believe it's April or May. I'm not quite sure now what it is on the calendar, and I hope to see each one of you there. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you my 3, 2, 1 tips so that you can get to where you want to go quicker, faster, better. And I've been sharing this around the world. It was in my viewpoint in the magazine last month. So let me leave you with my tips for 3, 2, 1. And that is this. After each and every meeting, not just anniversary meetings, but each and every meeting, even if it's under a mango tree, and I hope sometime I get to have a meeting under a mango tree, record 3 things you learned in this meeting, whether it's a district conference, a contest, whatever. I do it on my iPhone, and you can do it whether you're a hard copy writer or you like to capture things on your phone. After each meeting, what are 3 things you learned? That's a trainer trick. We do that at the end of everything. Summarize what you've learned, and of course, we as speech makers know in 3s things work best. Our memory remembers them. Before the next meeting, open up your learning list and look at those 3 things I learned in the last meeting. I'm going to incorporate them today in what I do. 2 in my 3, 2, 1 is give 2 unique compliments to people in the room, whoever they may be, which means you need to be highly aware, highly observant of other people. Find out what their secret sauce is, their X factor, their magic formula, whatever it is. Watch, observe, and after the meeting, send them an email, give them a phone call, send them a WhatsApp, line message, WeChat, whatever you choose, and let them know what their uniqueness is, what is their X factor. And when you do that, you will learn about the attributes that you want to take on, how you want to grow as a person, and it will heighten your awareness. They'll be appreciative of it, and you'll be appreciative of it. Ladies, if you receive a compliment, you may not throw it back by giving that other person a compliment as well. You need to hold that compliment for at least 24 hours. After that, you can go ahead and if you must reciprocate, instead of holding on to that compliment, go ahead at that time. And number 1 of my 3, 2, 1 model to get to where you want to go, quicker, faster, better, to be great at 8 and in infinity and beyond, is after each and every meeting, send 1 note of gratitude to someone who made it possible for you to grow and learn. And you may want to think about sending a thank you to your TRIO member, to your district administrative manager who are here today, maybe didn't make it possible for this meeting, but certainly will at district events. And while they don't ask for it, I know they don't get thanked enough. So go ahead and send a thank you after each and every meeting. In North America, we realize we have a gratitude gap in our workplace. And so in Toastmasters, we can shape the future by closing the gratitude gap, and after each meeting, acknowledge our gratitude. It was a pleasure being with you here today, DCTMC. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I wish you many, many more years of President's Distinguished where you are growing people in 3 or 4 months that they could do things that it took me years to do. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Wow, thank you very much to our President, DCTM Margaret Page. I really appreciate your speech for today, and I also want to incorporate that 3-2-1 that you shared to us, to record what we have learned in the meeting, to send compliments to other people, and to give a gratitude note to someone who made this event wonderful. So I'm going to thank you also to our president in DCTMC, DPM Burns, for this event to make it wonderful. So now,
mag-subscribe, ring the bell, mag-like, comment, at i-share mo na.